The message, therefore, to corporate houses is try and do as much as you can in the rural hinterland of our country. That's the message. And we are trying to give that message out as much as we can. But if there's an urban slum where you want to work, that's also fine. I mean, we can't say don't do it there. All right? So that's the fine balance, and I'm glad you mentioned that point. Yes. Hare kalenge, but I'm going to now go row by row. The point is, we can hear a lot of speeches, but you need to hear it from the horse's mouth so that all your doubts are clarified. First row, any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Chatterjee, this is just a further clarification about the one-off events. For example, we have the Airtel Marathon and the others, which we have been supporting because of the beneficiary involved, but it is a one-time.
Sorry, it says no means no. Next question.
Yes, sir. How would giving technologies, like at Cisco, we would like to give a technology like telepresence or WebEx to the deserving organizations. Is this a part of the inclusive ruling?
Who does it help? Who is the ultimate beneficiary?
The NGO partners, you're trying to connect the unconnected, like especially the ones residing in the rural areas.
Is your NGO working amongst the poor and
Yes.
giving them connectivity?
Right, exactly.
That's the whole point. If you're just giving technology, okay, are you giving it free?
Yes.
To whom?
To the NGO partners who are working with the
Who are then working with whoever they are in the rural areas.
Right.
Yes, that's perfectly fine.
Okay. Thanks.
But make sure that the end result is the beneficiary who is poor. No, too. And please don't ask the definition of poor. That's left for you and your board to decide. You can decide, I am poor, your choice, right? But then your board will have to stand up to say who is poor or not poor. So don't wait for planning commission and whatever else the World Bank to define it. You decide who you think are the poor or the disadvantaged or the marginalized. Your choice, whichever community you want to work with. But always remember the end beneficiary. Who am I reaching out to? And if you are not reaching out to them, don't do it, for heaven's sake. Right, second row. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I met with a company and they said we would like to work with CSR, but it will take a long, long time for us to make any profit because we will invest
Profit from
for
where?
many years.
No, companies. Okay. Don't go to companies who do not make profits, please. There are about 14,000 plus companies in India who have more than the 5 crores net profit average of last 3 years. Approach only those companies. Don't go to anyone else.
But is it okay for a company to invest year after year after year?
Of
to
course.
Maybe avoid making...
Invest means?
The company will invest their money in their own company, so they will not have a profit and therefore not do CSR.
This is not about what they do. This is about what they declare to the registrar of companies. Under the new Companies Act, every single company has to make a complete disclosure of their profits and dividends to the registrar of companies. If in that return there is a profit shown, then 2% of that profit is what they need to spend. If they don't show a profit, God help us. Next one. Yes, third row. Anyone else on the second row? I will not come back. So third row. Yes.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah.
One question I had, that the independent directors who are there for the CSR, they are personally liable.
Yes.
Now, to what extent are they personally liable and what kind of stringent action? Is there something defined or what they need to be careful about?
Have you read the Act?
Have
you read section 134O?
Yes.
Please read it. Just read it. That's all there is. There is a very stringent punishment accorded in section 134O. Please read it. Next question on the third row. Yes.
Foreign companies with Indian operation who have more than 51% holding in foreign?
In the Act and the rules, have you given him a copy of the definition of foreign company? Where is that booklet? Please circulate the booklet, the CSR booklet brought out by the IICA. The fact is, if it is a registered company in India, a foreign company registered in India which makes more than the qualifying profits, then it has to spend on CSR. Yes, ma'am.
Sir, in Schedule 7, you say that measures to benefit armed forces.
Section 7.
Sorry, Schedule 7.
Schedule 7.
You say
Schedule
measures.
7 which? There are 11 items.
6.
Right.
You say about benefits to
Yes.
armed veterans. Now, does this include only the marginalized or also the officers?
No.
Every armed veteran is included.
Any armed
Widows
veteran
of
is
the armed
included. They are treated as marginalized because they are armed veterans.
Can I
And
ask one
they are-
more on road safety? Now, you say that if, say, for example, someone is doing road safety but a one-off and not engaging ground up, will that...
Who does road safety benefit?
It benefits people. Common...
No use.
No use?
No use. I
So if
told
people
you
put
the
up traffic lights,
beneficiary.
is it
No, it's
beneficial?
useless. What are you doing traffic lights for? Which poor community is being benefited here?
Okay.
Please understand, you are to benefit the poor, the marginalized, the disadvantaged. Don't give me generalities. You know, like I improve the air. Useless. Okay? I improve the ambient climate. No use. The beneficiary must be a direct poor person. Right, next.
Sir, is there any master plan or development plan made by CSR?
No. Next question. Anyone in the third row? No. Fourth row? Yes. Go row by row. I'm not going to come back. Yes.
Yeah, hi. This is with respect to volunteer engagement. After an interaction with the corporate, I came across a question from them where it can be a part of CSR budget, right, when they are doing that.
Yes, it can.
Okay, now the question is the cost of the particular candidate who is working with the company, vis-a-vis the cost, when he
No
works.
cost to company, only salary, period. What is his salary per hour? That is the cost of volunteering.
That's
And he
the-
must do so on company time, not on holidays.
So it
If
cannot,
he would otherwise be in the company in his office, but he is spared by the company to go out of the office during office hours, then only the amount of salary he would have drawn for that number of hours you can include in CSR.
not the client bills, right? They can't rate it.
Oh,
That's-
what is all this? Please touch your heart and tell me what would you want them to do?
Absolutely
So
not.
do just that. Next
Okay.
question, please.
Good morning, sir. A very different question from the, as I
Why don't you
see,
take a seat? Be comfortable with that.
as I see, there are 3 agencies who are totally involved in a CSR project. A corporate which wants to do CSR, there is an implementing agency. There is also a requirement of the corporates to get an audit report generated at the end of the year, whether the money
By
is
whom?
spent.
No,
Yes,
who says
my
so?
question,
No. Who says so?
the corporates,
Who says that you need to get an audit report on CSR generated? Where is it written? Don't say that which is not there. If your company wants to get an audit report on CSR, fine, it's your board decision.
how does a corporate get the certification or an indexation that the money spent was for the CSR?
It's between
at the end
you
of
and
the
your
year?
auditor. You and your auditor.
So which auditor, sir?
Your choice. I've not asked you to give me any report. I don't want your auditor's report. It's for you and your board to get it. You appoint your own auditor.
Is it a social auditor or it's a normal auditor?
How would I know? You decide. Sit down.
yeah,
The
thank you.
choice is yours.
Thank you.
The government does not want to micromanage these things. It's for your board to decide that I've spent 10 crores on CSR. I would like to know where that money went. Right? So you tell, why only CSR? When you spend, let's say, money on a marketing campaign, right? You would want to know where the money went, right? What does your auditor do? Your auditor gives you the report on the marketing campaign. Yes or no? Same with CSR. Your auditor will give you a report on what happened in CSR. Same as for a marketing campaign or same as for a production venture, whatever you want to do. There's no prescription from government that just for CSR you must have a separate audit. No such prescription.
Good afternoon, sir. So some companies and some players in the NGO space have articulated the need for a holistic development approach. I mean, there have been NGOs which have acquired leadership in, say, education, in health, in the various rural development sectors. And they have said that some of the work that they do in penetrating to that level is common, right? So is there space for a program manager, right, to provide a specialized service? Because there is a specialized service clause in the CSR Act where you can procure specialized products and services. So would that be construed as a specialized service?
The question is not clear.
Right.
I am a corporate house.
Right.
I need a program which benefits the poor.
Right.
If somebody gives it to me, I can finance the NGO to do that program. It's as simple as that.
Right. So can you finance a program manager to reach out to different NGOs?
Why would I finance a program manager, for heaven's sake? I'm financing an NGO. It's the NGO to have its own program manager. Finished. Why would I finance a program manager? What for? I have a program. I've decided that this NGO is going to, implement this program. It's for the NGO to decide who the program manager is. Why would I appoint a new person? There is already in my company someone who is, my CSR person, whatever, the CSR department, if it's a very big one, a big budget. Otherwise, 1 or 2 people looking after CSR, that's it. The issue here is corporates are not expected to do CSR by themselves. Full stop. CSR is to be outsourced. Full stop. It is to be outsourced to one of the 3, an NGO, a trust, or a not-for-profit. Is that clear? Section 8 company. CSR is not to be done by government organizations. Please do not put your money in PWD or whatever else there is that governments take out. It is not government corporate responsibility. It is corporate social responsibility. Is that clear? All right, next. It's all written in stone now, no changes. Next, please. See, there's no point bluffing and flubbing. This is it. You got to do what there is. Next row. I find now the questions are getting less and less because now there's more clarity. We cannot move out of the space. Yes, sir.
So you just mentioned that 3 types of organizations can get the funding on CSR. Just wanted a question: can a fund be created of small corporates coming together?
Of course.
And it be given to for-profit social enterprises who are actually working for it?
No.
It has to be
even if you create, suppose 3 or 4 companies get together and create a foundation, which is fine. Now the foundation then has to get work done, right? So the foundation has to finance these 3. It can't then say for-profit.
But if the for-profit enterprises are actually providing electricity or providing the agricultural techniques for farmers to kind of improve productivity.
Not part of CSR. If you make a profit from CSR, sorry, it's not CSR. I mean, I'm just telling you, my views may be different.
No, but
I'm just telling you what the Act says.
But if the profit is generated, is invested back into that...
Zilch. If you make a profit, it's out. Next. Yes.
I'm a large corporate. So eligible and mandatory for me to do CSR. I've created.
Do you have your CSR committee on board? Who is the chairman?
Yes. So we're working on that.
You haven't yet made your committee. What are you wasting your time here for? The Act has been in operation from the 1st of April. You're a large corporate, in your own words. Is this your corporate social responsibility?
So
the names, I want the names of all of the 3 people. Who is your chairman? Who are the members of that committee? They should have been out in the public domain 3 months ago. So please, for heaven's sake, get your act together.
Sure.
Do you have a policy yet, a
Yes,
CSR
yes,
policy?
yes. So
without a committee. You cannot have a policy without a committee.
That's building. But my question is something else, sir.
Every one of you take this message. You see the problems. Corporates, policy without committee. The first part of section 135, what does it say? Now see, exactly this is the problem. You have a law, you have a rule, and yet not known. Questions without even complying. Comply first, then ask the questions.
Sir, I have
Yes,
my
sir.
questions.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So I have a foundation. So Company X has a Company X foundation. Okay. So the funds are moved to the foundation.
Correct.
Can
That's
the foundation, for complete implementation of the desired project, which is vocational education, outsource it completely to implementation to a for-profit organization?
Not for profit. It has to outsource only to not for profit. It must outsource, but not to for profit. Next question. And not to government, for heaven's sake.
Okay, one corporate has given a money to NGO to put a solar light in a villages. There are poor and rich people over there. Does that consider as a CSR activity or not? Because it's a mix and match community over there.
Yes, if by and large the majority of the people are poor or not. Yes or no?
50%. You can say 50%.
No, map it out.
Okay.
Who are these villagers? How big is the village? How many are poor? It's easy for you to see. If you take some bordering village in Haryana and it consists of rich landowners, you're wasting your time.
Okay.
See, that's why I've told you, before you start a project, first, what must you do? Need assessment. You cannot formulate your program or project without need assessment survey. Did the villagers want the solar light?
It's environmental.
No. Did they want it or no?
Yes.
How do you know? Where's the report? Who did the survey? Who brought the report to you?
No,
How do you know they didn't want drinking water before they wanted solar lamps?
It's a NGO assessment they give to the corporates.
Useless.
Okay.
If the NGO assessment needs to prioritize the needs of that village, did they put the solar light as number one? I doubt it.
No, not yet.
Then why are you doing it?
Okay.
Please understand, you owe it to the people of that community to address their requirements. Just because you want to sell a few solar lamps, you're just putting them over there.
Yes.
Who knows that the community doesn't even want them? They'll be thrown away.
Okay.
Have you ever tried cooking a meal on a solar cooker? Don't even try it.
Right.
I gave up after 3 days. So the point I'm trying to say is, please do things which people want. Establish that by a need assessment. Draw up a project or a program. Measure what benefits will accrue in measurable terms, so that when you assess at the end of 3 years what benefits actually happened, you will be able to quantify yes, yes, yes.
Okay, thank you.
So there is a very systematized thinking in the way that CSR needs to go out. Don't do knee-jerk reactions. Right, next. Is clarity now coming? Because I'm speaking really, pretty hard stuff, but that's what's required. No fluff. Yes, sir.
कारपोरेट हाउस अपना एनजीओ चला रहे हैं और उनके एनजीओ में पूरे उनके फैमिली के मेंबर हैं। हम जो एनजीओ चलाते हैं, गवर्नमेंट हमसे एफिडेविट लेती है कि हमारे फैमिली में का कोई भी मेंबर या कोई भी ब्लड रिलेटिव इसमें नहीं है। वो कारपोरेट हाउस अपना ही एनजीओ में अगर इन्वेस्ट करता है, उसको आप सीएसआर में गवर्नमेंट ट्रीट करेगी कि नहीं?
आप क्या चाहोगे?
हम चाहेंगे कि जो ट्रीटमेंट एनजीओस के साथ होता है, वो कारपोरेट अगर एनजीओ चला रहा है अपना, वो एफिडेविट दे गवर्नमेंट को कि नो ब्लड रिलेटिव इन द एग्जीक्यूटिव बोर्ड और इन द जनरल बॉडी, क्योंकि हमारे यहाँ नहीं है। वी आर गेटिंग द फंड फ्रॉम द एफसीआरए, फ्रॉम द सोर्सेज, हम एफिडेविट देते हैं। जो ट्रीटमेंट हो सबके साथ कानून का
Such a
बराबर।
beautiful question that it needs a little bit of elaboration. When we were sitting in the rules committee and we were formulating this, completely off the record, there were a group of us who felt that, when companies make their own foundations, right, what are they doing? The company is placing with the foundation its money, right? The foundation is then spending that money through NGOs for carrying out their CSR activities. the board of that company asks the foundation to report, right? What have you done in CSR? The foundation reports to the board, and the board says yes, no, bad, good, whatever it does, right? Every foundation reports to the board because the board would want to know, have you done CSR or have you not? What did you do with the money we gave you? Typically, what happens? Who is the chairman of the foundation? Who is the chairman of any foundation? Either himself or his spouse. So, when the board decides that this money has been spent horribly, who will it scold? Who will it suspend? Who will it smash? Who will it discharge? Who will it terminate? My spouse?
CEO.
Because the foundation chief is my spouse. So will I have a divorce? What am I going to do? This is the question he's asking. You have a conflict of interest. You cannot ask the foundation if you yourself are its chairman, even worse, because you are reporting to that very board over which you are presiding. How will you objectively assess your own performance? You can't. And if you do, it's useless. It doesn't mean anything. Your assessment of yourself is crap. So there is a very great fundamental logic in which this gentleman is speaking. And I tell you now that whereas there is no law or there is no rule, it is for each corporate to ask itself that morally or ethically, is there a conflict of interest? And if there is, it is for that board and that corporate to address it. This is all I can say at this time. But his question reflects the spirit of what is wrong in our CSR establishment. Yes, next.
Hi, just a quick question to clarify. You've been saying time and time again that the final beneficiary has to be the poor or the needy.
As far as possible, yes.
But in the case of environmental initiatives where there isn't a direct beneficiary who may be poor or needy, are you then saying that environmental initiatives are essentially not CSR?
No. I'm saying only those environmental initiatives which generally benefit the poor are CSR.
So can you give me an example?
Yes. For example, you go to a village and you find that the drinking water there is something that's not potable.
So you're saying something
Or,
that...
yes, or for example, there is, the village is being affected by a company or a factory which is emitting black smoke.
So then are
The
you
whole
saying...
environment is getting polluted.
So are you saying something like wildlife conservation would just not fall within CSR at all?
No. Is it mentioned in Schedule 7, wildlife conservation?
It is.
Good. So
Okay.
have a program for that. Now you will see that in wildlife conservation, many of the villages which are outside these parks have a lot of people who are really poor. And the battle between the species of, wildlife and human beings is so much. So if you spread awareness among them that, let's try and support wildlife, let's support and preserve it. You can move and you say resettlement, for example, for them, and you give them new spaces in which they can be well settled and well inhabited, then it helps both the human beings and animals.
Okay.
So if you could do, and I'm not saying that benefiting animals by itself won't be, but there's always a man-animal conflict. If you can resolve that, it's wonderful. Yeah, okay.
Excuse me, sir. Thank you. I just shifted from front to back to ask the question.
Terrific.
Just
Good for you. He's avoiding the bullets, hiding in the trenches. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Just a related question to the gentleman who asked,
Sure.
People have created foundations, and they are also in a dilemma. When they are having the CEO in the foundation, which is a family relation also, then there is no provision of law, how much salaries they claim, how much administrative expenditures they do, what should be the program expenditures. that sort of a dilemma is there. Now they ethically want to do that, they don't want to charge. I'm not saying that they have created foundations to charge and feed themselves. They are very ethically wanting, but they are asking, what is the law which you have created in defining what the foundations can charge for the administrative and the program and salaries in particular?
All right, let me mention this to you. Let's say that this foundation has 100 rupees, all right? And with this 100 rupees, it wants to take up 5 programs, any programs, 20 rupees each, let's say. Now, a program has many components, and all of those components of the program or the project are admissible CSR expenditures. Therefore, let's say, as this lady asked, we are doing an environment, a wildlife protection program, all right, on the outskirts of a game reserve. And for that, we have kept, say, 6 human beings who are project personnel, co-terminus with the duration of the project. Then the salaries of all of these people, whether it's 10 crores per day or 1 rupee per day, doesn't matter. Any salary you pay them is admissible. The travel, the movement, the transport, anything to do with the project is admissible. Every single, the paper, the machinery, the computer, whatever, fax machine, whatever is involved with that project is admissible as CSR expenditure. So long as you show that this is a program, this is a project, these are its outcomes, anything, even overheads, are admissible as part of that project. But our intention is try and do projects, programs, not one time. Okay?
That's very clear, sir. Thank you very much. On the program, yes, very clear. But if I am a spouse to the person, and if I have to charge my salary in that, that is what I'm asking, which is non-program based.
No. Then make it programmatic.
Okay.
Involve yourself in a program and take the salary by all means.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
I had a similar question about the beneficiaries. So one of the areas is education. And what if the beneficiary system? So would you count it as a CSR?
No.
What kinds of teachers?
Where?
It's still being formulated.
Please select a backward rural area where poor people live and pay teachers there. Don't do some kind of, high-flying school in Delhi and give money to those teachers. Remember, the teachers must then be teaching the poor. If they are teaching the poor, fine. They may personally be, lower middle class or middle class, whatever they may be from. But they must be teaching the poor. The beneficiary, the ultimate result of your education program must be poor children. If they are not, please don't do it. I don't want to give scholarships to the children of Ambani. Right, next.
Does physical rehabilitation and accessibility come under the CSR ambit?
Sorry?
Physical rehabilitation and accessibility of person with disability come under CSR?
Of course. Disability is part of that Schedule 7. Please read it. Yeah, next. Need to wind